In this video, we're gonna see how to connect to the eustis3 computer. And that's a computer that's running 24/7 on campus. We can log into here and write code and compile code on that computer. So we connect to this computer via the SSH protocol. And if we are outside of campus, we have to establish a VPN connection first, because this machine is kind of hidden behind a secure layer on the UCF network. It cannot be accessed from the public internet. That's why we gotta do VPN connection first. So this is how you can download the VPN client. So here in Google, if you search UCF VPN, it takes you to this page. And here you can choose students, and this will prompt you to enter your UCF credentials, and then you can download the client and install it on your computer. And once you have done this, for next time, you can just log in that client that you can install. You can use your UCF credentials. You only need to install it once, basically. So I'm not gonna have to do this because I'm on campus today, but if you are outside campus, you have to establish a VPN connection first. And let me see here. Again, this help shows you what is the VPN client. Let me see if I can find the name here. Yeah, this basically shows step by step, and this is the name of the client, secure.vpn.ucf.edu. Once you install this program, you will have something like this. You type the name secure.vpn.ucf.edu, you put your credentials, and then you are basically at the first step. You have established VPN. That's what I do when I connect from home, for example. But since I'm on campus, I don't need to do the first step. And the same for you. If you are on campus with Wi-Fi, you don't need to do the first step. So second step, this computer is listening on port 22 for SSH protocol. So we're gonna use an SSH client to connect. So this is one way to do that. If you search on Google for PuTTY, this is a very simple SSH client. You will go here, and then you can go to the download page and pick one of the, usually I use the executable. You probably need to go with 64-bit because CPUs today is most likely what you have, a 64-bit. This is already an executable. Download this, scan it, and then you can connect to eustis with this one. Now, Windows already has SSH built in. If you have an old Windows, it wouldn't have SSH, but since Windows already has SSH, so I'm gonna open the search and I'm gonna type SSH. This is my NID at eustis3. This is the machine name, eustis3 EECS UCF edu. So this is what I'm prompted with here. Basically, I'm gonna put my NID password. And at this moment, I am logged into eustis3. Let me see if I can make the font a little bit bigger. Maybe 20. Okay. So, all right, so here I am logged in to Eustis. Eustis uses the Ubuntu Linux operating system. So what I have here, we call this the command line. That's how we spell it, command line. So I have the command line and I can type here any Linux commands. So one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a folder, make directory. Let's call it temp as temporary. And I'm gonna go into it. CD means change directory, CD temp. And usually first thing you do is ls. This lists the file. As you can see, the file is empty because there's nothing in there. So let me open up a file. I'm gonna use the editor called Pico. I'm gonna call the file a.c because I'm gonna type C code. So the extension is .c. And I'm gonna type here a very simple C program, include stdio.h. This is the main function, and let's just print a message. \n means new line, semicolon, and return 0. So this is already the full program, the full code of the program. And all right, at this point, you can see the shortcuts are here below. I'm gonna exit, so Control X. It asks me, do you want to save? By buffer, they mean the whole file. I'm gonna type yes. And should we save as a.c? Yes, because I started it as a.c, right? So it's saved at a.c. Now, if I do ls, you can see the file has been created. I can do pico a.c, and I'm back into the file, or I can do cat a.c. I can see the file without getting into it. I'm still outside. If the file is too long, I can do pipe, which is a vertical bar, and more. Then it will show it to me page by page, but this file is already small. So, all right, let's compile it. So we're gonna use the GCC compiler, which is already installed on Linux, on eustis. That's one of the advantages, is you don't have to install anything, at least as far as compiler goes. So GCC, this is the command, -o a.c. So this is saying that the source is a.c, the executable that will be created is a. So this is what I want. I don't want to see any error, and I didn't get any error. So it compiled. If I do ls, it created a. And now to launch it, I should do /a. If I do just a, it wouldn't recognize it. So I need to do /. That means the current folder. Current folder is /. And let's type a. You can see it compiled and printed hello world. So that's basically how we can compile a file on Linux. Let me go back in here and introduce a mistake. Let's say I forgot to do the semicolon. And I'm gonna hit the up arrow. The up arrow shows me previous commands, so I don't have to type them again. And now let me compile it. You can see that the compiler gives me hint, expecting semicolon. That's very clear. Sometimes you have to think about the error message. Here, the error message is really obvious what I should do. So now if I add this back, GCC, now it compiles again. This is the file, again, executed. So we're gonna do one more thing before we terminate here. We're gonna create something called makefile. Let's say I compile files over and over. So you could create a makefile that will do this. So makefile, I'm gonna put a label, all with colon. That's the command I want. And I'm gonna do a command called clean. And this will be to remove the executable. So if I want to erase the executable, I will use the clean command. And I will save this. Now you can see I have a makefile. You have to call it makefile, basically. Let's do cat to see what's the content. Just what I just created. All has a GCC command clean will remove the executable. I don't want to erase the source, obviously, right? So now here is what I can do. Make, it compiles it for me. And this guy is here. I run it. Let me do clean. That's how you run this make, clean. So make followed by the label clean, because it's the label here is clean. The only thing I have here is this is a standard Linux command to remove is rm. So if you are using this, you should do rm. But in my case, I overridden this with command called re. So I think I gotta do re. But if you're doing this, you need to do rm. Okay. So make clean. Okay, it erased it. You can see this guy doesn't exist anymore. So that's basically how you can use the makefile. I'm going to show you why you may want to use the makefile. You can compile two things at the same time. Let's copy a.c, b.c. So now I have two executables, and let's call this hello world 2. Let's go to the makefile, and Control K is cut, Control U is paste. So let's do here erase both. So now you can see here, if I do make, I compile both of them. if I clean, I erase both executables. And you can see that currently there's no executable. The executable usually is marked in green, as you can see here. So both files are there. Let's do make. Both are compiled successfully. You can see A and B have been created. Run A, hello world. Run B, hello world 2. So everything works fine. Let's do make clean. They both erased. Now if I list, they both gone, right? Obviously the sources are still here. So, all right, we're gonna finish here. And one last thing I would just like to say that you should be a bit careful is in Linux, when you erase, you cannot get the file back. So that's why I kind of created like a recycle bin. So if you do RM to erase a file, and that file is gone pretty much. It's really hard, almost impossible to get it back. You have to use some advanced tools. So you have to be careful if you work on your homework, you have a .c file, don't do RM, because if you erase it, you cannot get it back and you lose your homework. That's why maybe using makefile is a good idea, because my makefile doesn't erase the .c, only erases the executables, right? Yeah, maybe at some point in the future, I will post this, the recycle bin. I'm still working on that. So that's pretty much is it for now.